Ooh, remember playing this game in your childhood? I'm sure you might have fond memories of this game. Acquiring cities, building hotels, oh my god, so much fun. But I'm sure you might be wondering, why am I talking about business right now? Does this game have any connection with our today's topic? Yes, there is. But before we start, welcome to our series Learn with Upstox. इस सीरीज में हम रेशियो एनालिसिस, इंडस्ट्री एनालिसिस, बैलेंस शीट एनालिसिस और कई सारे टॉपिक्स के बारे में बात करने वाले हैं. Let's start the discussion of asset allocation, in which we are going to discuss about what is asset allocation, factors affecting it, strategies involved in it, and how to get started. Let's start with the very first concept of what is asset allocation. I'm sure everyone has played business. We used to call it as Vyapar in our childhood days. That was a game which taught us about how to invest in real estate, how to generate returns from that, and that too at such an early age. But the only problem with this game was that we allocated all our funds in only one asset class, and that is real estate. However, doing that in real life would carry high risk. So, under asset allocation, you diversify your investments into various asset classes like equities, bonds, mutual funds, gold, real estate, and so many more. This is done with an aim to manage or reduce the risk associated with these assets individually. Now the question arises as to why to diversify your investments. Well, the answer for this is that we live in a world which is called as VUCA. Now what is this VUCA? V stands for volatile, U stands for uncertain, C stands for complex, and A stands for ambiguous. So no single asset, in short, can be the best performer consistently because of so many macroeconomic factors. And of course, this has been proven many times in the history as well. So if I give you an example, in 2014, Indian equity was the top performer. In 2015, debt was the top performer, and in 2020, it was gold. So had you invested all your money in just one asset class, you might not have been able to get the due advantage of the same. That's the exact reason why I always say that don't put all your eggs in one basket. By the way, it's not only me who says that, it's everyone who has to say that. I'm sure that now you are convinced that asset allocation or asset diversification is a must. But then if you want to diversify your portfolio, you need to understand as to how much of your total assets should go to which type of assets. For that, you have to know KYS. KYS? Not KYC, it is KYS. I just tried to coin this term. KYS stands for Know Yourself, because that's what determines the factors that affect your asset allocation. So let's go through all these factors one by one. The very first one is age. Remember this as a rule of thumb. Higher the age, lower is your risk appetite, and vice versa. So at a young age, you do have a capacity to risk out your investments. A general rule accepted is that 100 minus age of the investor should be your allocation for equity. So I'll give you a simple example. So 100 minus my age, I'll maybe just tell 20, let's say 80 will be the amount or will be the percentage basically which will be allocated for equity, right? The second point is time horizon. If you have a goal with shorter duration, you should have a higher allocation in debt. While if you have a goal with a longer duration, you should have a higher allocation for equities. The next point is number of dependents. So assume that your parents, children, sibling, and your grandparents are also dependent on you. In this case, because you have more dependents on you, you will require more liquidity in the short term, which can be in the nature of emergency funds or in the nature of liquid funds. The next and the last point can be risk profile. There are typically 3 categories of risk profiles, and you have to identify which category do you fit in. The very first one is a conservative risk profile. So basically, if I were a conservative type of investor, I would not want to risk out my money. In such a case, 70 to 80% of my total assets would go in debt, and obviously the balance will go in equity. If I were a moderate level of an investor which is okay with moderate level of risk, then it will be a balance of debt and equity where 50% can go to debt and 50% can go to equity. And the last one is an aggressive investor wherein almost 70 to 80% can be an exposure towards equity. Let's move on with the next point, which focuses on asset allocation strategies. The very first one is strategic asset allocation. This involves determining a base policy mix and then sticking to the same. So it's a long-term invest strategy in short. In simple words, we assign a proportion to each asset class based on its expected returns, and then whatever assets we buy in this, we hold it for a long time. Let's move on with the next one, which is tactical asset allocation. This involves a moderately active strategy usually implemented to benefit from short-term market and economic events. Therefore, it gives that corridor to add the component of market timing and allows you to reap profits when certain events occur. Tactic is short-lived and strategy is long-lived. So the fund manager would try to grab an existing opportunity, whatever is available in the short term, but would stick to the original strategy in the longer term. Now the third one, which is dynamic asset allocation. This is again an active asset allocation strategy in which you can continuously change and adjust the asset mix depending on the market and economic conditions. So basically, it's a short-term investing strategy. And now the golden question, how to get started with asset allocation? For that, I'm going to tell you 4 simple rules. The very first one is that asset allocation can be done for different financial goals separately. Means what? मान के चलो मुझे घर लेना है तो उसके रिलेटेड एसेट एलोकेशन अलग हो सकता है. मान के चलो मेरा और एक फाइनेंशियल गोल है विच इज माई चाइल्ड्स एजुकेशन, उसके लिए एसेट एलोकेशन भी अलग हो सकता है. The second simple rule is that choose assets with weak correlation. So always remember, an asset class like equity and debt have a very weak correlation. These should be there in your portfolio. Third one is that don't be rigid about your risk profile. Risk profile of a person evolves with him or her and it can change over a period of time. एक मेरा ही एग्जाम्पल दे देती हूँ. 10 साल पहले मेरा जो रिस्क टेकिंग कैपेसिटी था एंड आज का मेरा रिस्क टेकिंग कैपेसिटी डेफिनेटली अलग है. सो ट्राई टू डू एन एसेट रीबैलेंसिंग whenever you feel it is necessary to do so. Well, thank you for watching our video on asset allocation from our Learn with Upstox series. I hope you have enjoyed this video as well, and if you did, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe. If you have any questions regarding the video, do not forget to leave a comment in the comments section below. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so that you will get the notification of their latest videos.